Hey everybody, tonight we're going to be talking about the TIVIVA mechanical slider in titanium. It doesn't really have a name. I was going to try to give it a name, but I hesitate to do that because who knows what its name might actually be. AliExpress is terrible about this stuff, but this is from the TIVIVA store. You'd think, they'd give things a name maybe, but anyhow, this is their first shot, as far as I know, of adding Teflon to a mechanical slider. Everything else is titanium, and this has some potential issues. Out of the box, I had some issues with it. I'm going to show you what I did and make some suggestions. It's awfully big, and that's what she said. Anyhow, please stick around. We will discuss this in detail. Take it apart, compare it to a few things, weigh it, measure it. You know the routine. Okay, so like I said, this came from the TIVIVA store on AliExpress. When I bought it, I paid $37. The price currently is $41, and the upcoming sale price, which is in like 9 hours, I think it's the was it Labor Day sale? Yeah, it's $34. So good opportunity to grab one. Mine took 24 days to get here, otherwise I might have told you about it a little bit sooner. I'm really happy with it, except for the fact that when it came with the glass balls installed, and I think something happened there. They weren't working well with this, and it was starting to bind up on me. And it was some kind of combination of the fact that the spring is pushing the ball up pretty hard, and the fact that this is sandblasted, well, media blasted. So it's got that slightly rough surface finish, but it's rougher than their other stuff. And it's really taking a toll on this soft Teflon dovetail that's in here. I'll show you close-ups in a minute. And I think, it was getting sticky, namely because it was grinding away at the Teflon, probably from me pushing harder. The harder you push it, the harder... I think that the glass balls were starting to fail a little bit, and the more they failed, the more you had to push hard on it, and the more you push hard on it, the more that sand-blasted texture of the track grinds into this soft Teflon dovetail piece in the middle, and it's just kind of a feedback loop thing, but it just got worse and worse and worse. And I made a dramatic step and tried something different. I have these nylon balls, and I got these off of Amazon. They are advertised as 3mm, but they're actually 2.86. That's the same size as the steel balls and the glass balls that were in this. For some reason, again, I don't know why, everything's labeled 3mm, but they're usually 2.86. POM, nylon. As a side note, I don't think, some people think these are Teflon when they're white. I don't think I've ever seen them available in Teflon, but let me know if you've actually seen them. I think it would almost be too soft. I do have some of those in PP or polypropylene, and those are too soft. But what happened was I put the POM ball in here, balls, one on each side, so there's 2 springs, 2 balls, and it continued to be rough. It continued, and then when I took it apart, I think it was starting to actually wear down the ball. I think this was just too much. The fact that these detents by themselves are pretty sharp. When you look at it close, the edges are pretty sharp, but the fact that it's also got that rougher than normal sandblasted surface finish texture really grips onto things that are soft. And I think the glass balls might have had bit imperfections in them that were starting to get catchy, and I think the nylon balls with the springs that it comes with was a little bit too much. But now I've switched over to the stainless steel balls, and I haven't been having any issues, so I think you're safe with that. But I have to, caveat that I haven't given this a full day's worth of use with the stainless steel ball, but it has not failed me as quickly as it did with the nylon balls or the glass balls that it came with. So I think you're safe with the stainless steel balls that it came with. What I found, I'll show you what we do in the end here. We'll take this apart. We'll take out the stainless steel balls and the 4mm long springs, and we'll put in my nylon balls, but we'll put in some different springs. I have some 4mm long springs, so they're a little shorter than normal. And that combination for me really works well with this. But we'll get to that when we take it apart. So you've heard me playing with it here. It has a nice feedback to it. Currently has a nice ping, but that can change depending on what you do. Well, you'll see when I put the nylon ones in, nylon balls. A good size lanyard hole attachment there. Now, I think you'd have a challenge. You could probably get paracord through there if you gutted the paracord first, but it's kind of a tight hole. This won't be precise, but at least I can give you an idea. It's somewhere around 4 millimeters. That's what it looks like. But fortunately, there's enough clearance here and enough clearance here that my little clips will work with this. So that's just a bonus. But this is a big slider. This is the biggest one in the collection so far. And I've grabbed my other ones that are at least similar in size to give you an idea of how big it is. That makes it kind of interesting by itself. Essentially, though, it's really makes it not necessary to have a lanyard. Hard to get lost. It's hard to lose something this big in your hand. That's what she said. Anyhow, I'm gonna start sounding like that. Our friend over there on his knife channel, Lefty. Anyhow, TIVIVA EDC has a few other things out, and I'm going to compare those as well. But for right now, let's do weights and measurements, and then we'll compare it to a few other things. Okay, let's see how much it weighs. There are no magnets in this. Just, right at 50 grams. Okay, 50 grams. Okay, length, 60 millimeters. Width, 26. Thickness, 11. When it's fully extended, we're out to 82 millimeters. So if you're someone with big hands, this might be the one you're looking for. Alright, let's do some comparisons. Now I have here, whoops, they just dropped on the floor. I'll get those later. One that is closest in size is the CP2 from Mackie, and this is still taller. This is slightly thicker. So, but this is a pretty big one. But when it's closed, it's shorter than this one. Another somewhat large one would be the Cybertruck. That's mechanical one side, magnetic on the other side. This is a little bit shorter than this. Put these back to back. I think these both sides extend out to the same length. They do. Let's use the magnetic side. And another one, which is really similar in shape and size, is the, I think it's just called the, not the multi-track, but the multiple track. That's what they're calling it. That's as closest, that's a description I used. I think that's a description that AliExpress used, but this one, of course, has the 4 tracks. It's not 4 different tracks, though. The 2 on the outside are the same. Then these 2 are different. So right now I have it set up with balls on the 2 outside tracks. So it's got 11 clicks, just like this does, in both directions. Unfortunately, they never made this in metal. I have seen this available in Bakelite, which I have, and also from someone else in G10. Let's do this. Be consistent here. All right, now I'd like to compare it with a few other ones from TIVIVA. Well, before we get to those other TIVIVA models, I forgot the two common ones that I wanted to show you. These are awfully a lot smaller, but more common, and that would be the Mackie CP3. And of course the Metal Toys Top B. Okay. Now a quick comparison of the TIVIVA models that I have here. And the only thing I really wanted to show you quick was the difference in the surface finish. These are all blasted finish, they're all titanium. But this one, maybe you can see a little bit. I'll bring it into different parts of the light here. I've got a light shining down this way and one down this way. I know the reflection's different depending on where the light hits. This definitely has a rougher surface finish than the rest of these, and that really contributes to the problem that I'm going to try to detail next. And I was going to try to do a demonstration. If you rub your fingernail on these four here, you don't really get a lot out, and that was a sneak peek. That's going to be my next review. Kyle Spencer already reviewed it, but it is I would say the improved version of this one, and that would be that it is a pivot slider, a hybrid 3-level pivot slider. Anyhow, back to this. Definitely rougher, and I was going to do some kind of demonstration where I could show you that it grinds my fingernail off. I can try that a little bit here. When I rub my fingernail on those, you really don't get anything. If we come over to this, now I'm putting some significant pressure on there, but I tried it with the other ones too. And if you look closely, let's see, try to get the light on here. A little bit of fingernail dust. So it's rougher, for sure. And I don't know how long it's going to take for that to smooth out. You know, it's going to be a battle between titanium, which is supposed to be one of the harder, stronger metals around, against Teflon, which is one of the softest plastics around. These grooves here, I'm almost certain were not there in the beginning when I bought it, when I opened it up at first. But now on either side there, about 1/2 millimeter in, you'll see a line running down the edge, and that is from friction. So when we take it apart, we'll get into that. Okay, let's take this thing apart. I'm going to be using a T6, I believe, yes. And there's only 2 screws, one on each side. There's going to be 2 balls and 2 springs. Pretty common. I'm not going to be showing here something. I'm not going to be showing you anything here you haven't seen before. Just lift that off, and we have 2 springs. Those are both 4 millimeters long, 3 millimeters in diameter, and the wire that it's made up of is 0.25 millimeters in diameter. That's what it came with. The balls are 2.86 or 2.87 steel balls. I think it had pretty darn short. Came with glass balls in, which again, I don't recommend those. Stainless steel seems to be working, but in a moment when we put this all back together again, we're going to change out the springs and balls to what I prefer and what I recommend. Now, one thing that's nice about this one in comparison with a lot of other these similar design is that rather than have their limiting mechanism be a threaded screw that threads into this super soft Teflon, all they did was drill a hole and they gave you a pin. So when that pin's in there, that prevents it from going too far, and the pin won't come out as long as that other side is on top. So simplicity is the best way sometimes. You could see, and this is no different than their other products. They machine them and then they sandblast them. Otherwise, everything in here would be a nice shiny machined surface. So the fact that it still has sharp edges, and then on top of that, that it has a sandblasted surface down in those cups, makes it really grippy. And I think it was having an issue with the glass balls, and like I said, with the nylon balls with these larger springs. But yeah, like I was saying, rather than having a screwed in limiting mechanism, and that's how the 0-1 slider is, 3-level slider is, and it's also how I believe the 0-1 Hamburg or the mini hamburger is, and likewise my 0-1 EDC. What's it called? You know, I should have brought those over. It doesn't matter. I prefer a pin going through this than anything. Anything threaded into Teflon is just asking for trouble because it's so soft. But now that we have this out, I guess we could take a closer look. The grooves on either side, like I said, they were not there whenever I first started using this. Those have been worn in. It also wears down. You'll see maybe a little bit of powdery residue down here in this groove. It's been wearing that. So unfortunately, the inside parts of either side of this have been sandblasted enough that they're wearing this down. And one of the solutions might be to get in here with I thought about using, I have a little Dremel tool, and I was thinking about getting a wire brush or using one that I already have, and maybe we'll run a wire brush at high speed down through here, sort of angle it down in and try to get these inside pieces, inside surfaces smoothed up. It wouldn't matter. I wouldn't worry about anything beyond. I wouldn't worry about these balls or anything in the middle. Just getting down in there. I might try that someday. And that would also keep it, as long as you're careful, you'll only be scuffing up this inside part and maybe a little bit on this part here. Or you can leave it alone and it'll probably be fine. So, that being said, let's put this thing back together. And like I said, I'm going to be using different springs and different balls. I have 2 nylon balls, and just by chance, I happen to have 2 4mm long springs. These are just 1mm shorter than the ones I just showed you. They're still 3mm diameter. Now, the wire diameter on these are 0.35mm. The springs that were in here were 0.25. Those are softer. These are a little bit stiffer, but they're shorter, so they don't have to travel as far, and they're not going to be pushing as hard against everything. Anyhow, like I said, when I use these nylon balls in combination with the springs that were provided, which are 4mm long, it got sticky on me again. When I moved on to these, it didn't get sticky at all. And this is going to be my preferred method of assembly, since I happen to have those. Those came with something I just bought recently. Otherwise, I might not have had any that were that short. Get back in there, you. Oh, great. Magnetic tweezers. Alrighty. When you're putting it back together, make sure to align the lanyard groove with the lanyard hole. So we're just going to flip it over, try to bring it straight down. You'll know when it goes. These 2 springs have to go into these 2 cavities here, so you'll feel when that happens. Hold the whole thing together like a sandwich. Gently slide it apart till you can get access to one of the screw holes. Now make sure that it's lined up. This plastic part is still moving freely on there. And drop a screw down in there. Okay, and just snug those down. I think they actually do bottom out in the titanium. They're not actually squeezing on the Teflon, which is good, because that can cause the Teflon to deform. I've seen that in at least one other model. But now this is my preferred method. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you a side-by-side comparison, but the ping is virtually gone. And I'm not a big fan of the ping. I know a lot of people are. But it is working really well. And it's also not eating up the nylon balls, and it just feels very smooth. It's operating really, really well, you know. But I think, like I said in the beginning, it comes with glass balls. I would take those out right away and try using the stainless steel balls, and then I think you'll probably be fine. If you notice it starts to tighten up on you, then I would probably seek out some 4mm long springs. Look through your collection, look through your other spare parts, you might find them. Mine came with that, it's a Goofy branded slider that I just reviewed, called the Demon King. It needed 4. It requires 4 springs, but it came with 2 extra short springs for some reason, and that was still in my head when I had this issue. So that's, like I said, you can maybe get your hands on some 4mm long springs. That would help this run better. But I think you'll be fine if you use the stainless steel balls and the springs that came with it. Not bad. Not bad for about, what, between $30 and $40. Okay, I think that's all there is to say about this one. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.